Hello again, and welcome to Navigating Your Unretired Life. This is Art Johnson, and we're going to get right into. I know you've been watching this and you want to know about this law of infinite supply and how to tap into it. We're going to break this down over a series of episodes because it's deep and it takes some introspection between episodes. So here we go. So we're talking about navigating your unretired life. So here's more about our law of infinite supply. My name is Art Johnson of New World Communications, and I'm going to talk about what's inspired me in my business as a enlightened business development approach. So the story we need to tell is about enlightened business development. And people are asking us, Johnson, yeah, I mean, you're 70, 78 years. What's your secret sauce? How can you claim to have something that's really special that's worth me watching? And it has to do with the law of giving and the law of receiving. And this is a law that as you observe in the experience in your life, the more that you give, the more that you receive. But you've got to really be focusing on the giving. And this is really true on YouTube. You got to really be focused on giving people great content. And that's what I'm aiming to do here with you. And to do so is to tap into the law of infinite supply. Wow. So let me tell you what happened to me. Back in the day in 1997, when I had turned age 50, um, I just had this urge. I needed to start a business. I hadn't really succeeded in business before, but it was a calling that, gosh, there's a whole new world of communications and internet out there and a new evolution of television. I could already see a trend because I already been in the trends for several decades. And so a friend of mine, who was the chief editor there, gave me a little pamphlet called Your Invisible Power by somebody named Ernest Holmes. Now, who the heck was Ernest Holmes? But it really spoke to me. Uh, I'm going to go over just a few of the lines of this book, this little pamphlet, and you kind of I think it'll resonate with you as well. So the first part is that God is your silent partner. So I was feeling alone, but it said, no, that's not true. You have a silent partner. Johnson. You just need to realize that. You need to recognize it. You need to realize it in your life. We are in partnership with the infinite mind. The name of this partnership is God in company. The supreme intelligence, the universal creative order, the dynamic law, and the all perfect presence. This is God, the silent partner. We are the company. We are in league with the universe and this company with which we do business, having its center everywhere and its circumference nowhere, being omnipresent is localized wherever thought and consciousness function. Wherever we place our attention, there the company is doing business. And wherever this company does business, there is divine activity. So, I mean, this was a little booklet. I just knew, I said, wow, this is important. I just put this in my nightstand right next to my bed and said, this is amazing. This Ernest Holmes guy, I got to learn more about this because it's really speaking to me. And it's ended up, in terms of being evidenced in my life experience, it's really becoming true. So then recently, thanks to YouTube, boy, YouTube is great. It's a great classroom. I'm going to go ahead and play. This is Ernest Holmes doing an early ABC radio broadcast. He was a front runner in many, many areas in philosophy and new thought, and even in then the media of the time. So he was doing a radio show. So this is an opportunity to hear his own voice talking about how to use your secret power. I want to talk to you about this because a lot of us folks are not aware of our invisible power, our secret power, which taps into the law of infinite supply. We're going to have to do this over several episodes because this goes deep. And I want to share the things that have meant something to me as milestones in the evolution of my consciousness. So here we go.
Today, we are going to talk about your secret power, the power that can help you to overcome all your problems and difficulties. Did you ever say to yourself, I wish that I might never again be afraid of anything? Or have you met someone who had such a deep calm and peace that you have thought, how I wish that I might be like that person? Did you ever in some still moment feel as though you could almost reach out and touch something that would make you whole and happy and complete instantly? I know you have, because I have, and I am sure everyone has. We are all alike because we are all human beings. Something within us tells us that we are only half alive, that we are not getting what we ought to out of this thing called life. You share this feeling with every other person, and you instinctively know that there is something you ought to be able to tune into, something that is at the very center of your own being, which could make everything right, not only for yourself, but for others and for the whole world. We do not know just how it was that Jesus acquired his terrific faith, but he must have had moments of doubt and misgiving, just as we all do. He must have experienced uncertainty, just as you and I. But unlike most of us, he triumphed. He walked over the waters of doubt, the waves of confusion, and the tempests of fear. And he said, in effect, if you wish to do what I am doing, follow the few simple truths I have given you. I have told you that the kingdom of God is at hand, but you do not see it, because your eyes are so filled with tears that you cannot see. Your ears are so dulled with confusion that you cannot hear. Your minds are so weighed down with doubt that you cannot understand. And what was his remedy for all this? Open your spiritual eyes. Listen with the inner ear. Open your mind. And just what is it that we must see and hear and understand? It is this. This thing called life flows into everything and through everything. It passes into every human event and translates itself through every human act. If you think of this life as flowing through your every act, you will soon discover that the things you give your attention to are quickened with a new energy, for you are breathing the very essence of being into them. You know that you can think yourself into being unhappy and depressed. You know that you can think yourself into being glad. Did it ever occur to you that you can also think yourself into being well, into being prosperous? That you can think yourself into success? Well, you can if you believe in the law of life and use it rightly, but you must learn to use it affirmatively. You must learn to identify yourself with your desires. You must become the master of your own thinking. This is the only way you can realize freedom and joy. Therefore, you will have to turn your thoughts away from lack and want and limitation, and let them dwell on the good. Make yourself do this. Learn to think about what you wish to become. You see, you are a thinking center in life, and the chief characteristic of the law of this life is that it responds to your thought. Your slightest thought sets up a vibration in it, sets its creative intelligence in motion, and causes it to create circumstances for you which correspond to your thought. If you think of life as always bringing to you everything you need, you will have formed a partnership with the invisible, which will prosper you in everything you do. If you think of the organs and functions of your body as activities of life, then automatically you will be benefited physically. The spiritual gifts, which people have so earnestly sought after, are not something that God has withheld from man. Quite the reverse. They are something which man in his ignorance has withheld from himself. Life is never vindictive. It is not withholding anything from you. It is not even waiting until you are good enough to receive. Life is love. Life is beauty and wisdom as well as energy and imagination. You will be able to use its power in exact proportion as you embody its essence. If our acts, as they must, spring from our inward thoughts, then it follows that when we change our inward thoughts, we shall at the same time change what they do. That is, we shall be introducing a new law of cause and effect into our lives, and the effects of our previous mistakes will disappear. Doesn't that seem wonderful? The one, then, who would heal hate must first learn to love. The one who would live a beautiful life must commune with beauty. He must feel beauty. The one who would give happiness must first become happy. The one who would heal a sense of loss must first have arrived at an inner realization of wholeness. Miracles are natural. Every manifestation of faith through prayer, every wonder and sign which has followed the life of prayer, has been an inevitable result of some cause set in motion in the life principle. Every longing and yearning you have ever had, every secret desire of your soul, every constructive ambition you have had, is a whispering of this thing called life, assuring you that you are one with it. You are a manifestation, a personification of it. You are a center where life passing through you becomes a definite, a distinct, and a unique individual. There is no one else like you in all the universe, and there never will be. If you will take time daily to sense the presence of life within you, to believe in it, to accept it, it will not be long before the life which you have known will gradually disappear, and something new will be born, a bigger, better, and more perfect you. You will pass from death into life, from lack and want into greater freedom, from fear into faith. From a sense of being alone, you will become one with everything. You will rejoice in this oneness. Now, there may be some who think that before they can accept this position, they must first become profound philosophers, spiritual sages, or men of such deep scientific knowledge that they stand apart from the rest of the world. This is not true at all. What the wisest have known is only a little more than you and I know. They cannot answer your questions for you. You will have to answer them for yourself. Even the best man who ever lived could not live for you. You will have to live for yourself. Fortunately, you do not have to borrow power from anyone. You are using the law of life every time you think. And no matter how long you may have been using it wrongly and ignorant, the very day, that hour, yes, the very moment, you begin to use this power rightly, the effects of having used it wrongly will pass from your experience. Does it make any difference how long a room has been dark? Does it make any difference when you introduce a light? Does it make any difference how long the earth has been parched when refreshing rains come to bring a new life, a new seed time, and a new harvest to the fields. This is where faith plays its great role. For without faith, it is impossible for one to do his best or get the most out of living. This does not mean faith in your personality alone, but faith in the great ocean of life itself, faith in God. No one has ever yet found a substitute for this kind of faith. I have never known anyone whose faith in himself, just as an individual or as a person, was great enough to meet the issues of life. I have met many who have tried this, but as yet I have never seen it prove successful. There is something about our very nature that demands a constant communion with the invisible. Every man is some part of God, whether or not he knows or believes it. But we hypnotize ourselves into thinking that we are incomplete and imperfect. We identify ourselves with the fantastic pictures of our morbid dreams. But the ropes that bind us are ropes of sand. Let us cease to wonder what made the machinery get out of order and spend our time in a positive realization that there is a divine mechanic at the center of our being who knows how to repair it. And having thoroughly cleansed our mental house, we must now get a new tenant, one who knows how to live in it, one who knows that he is living in the house of God. He is in heaven now. He is the guest of the infinite today.
So that was an amazing piece here that I want you to just think about. We're going to stop here and we're going to go on to another uh, piece of work called Infinite Supply. This is a whole outcome of ancient wisdom and new thought. And one of the front runners is Dr. Ernest Holmes, who started these centers for spiritual living. And but he was not the only one. So I have a feeling, or it's my belief, that people at a certain time were taken up in a whole new expression of consciousness as the history of consciousness itself evolved and continues to evolve, bringing in new forms of expression. So anyway, I'll stop here. If you need to know more, you can email me at support@newworldcom.com. You can text me at 206-920-8067. You can visit my website at newworldcom.com, and let's talk. Let's even meet over a Zoom call. And let me tell me what's happening with you as you're navigating your unretired life. I love the fact that Ernest Holmes really, really had a long and fruitful life, exploring the whole new power of new thought and expressing himself so simply and eloquently. So thank you so much, and I look forward to working with you.